Cheers. Hello, welcome to SuperCoach Edge for the round 11 review and round 12 preview. Well, the man known as the Sicilian, otherwise known as James Sicily, underlined both the highs and lows of the round. The good, of course, smashing out a round high score of 172, only for it to then be soured by the fact he faces a week on the sidelines for collecting Caminiti high, which was given after the dinosaur known as the MRO spun the Wheel of Misfortune and it landed on said penalty.
But wait! There's more!
Laird was also rubbed out for a week in one of the biggest injustices all season. He took Neale to ground, falling first on his own hip and arse, so he's willing to give himself a corky to absorb the impact, and didn't pin the arms of Neale to allow him to break his own fall and protect his own head, which he just failed to do like an idiot. So it's only a matter of time before helmets are introduced, tackles are outlawed, all players are told to remove their own heads before taking the field. But then we had more bad news, with Ho-da-da going down with a hamstring injury, impacting both of us, Liam, and 11% of other owners. To be honest, I didn't think he could actually move fast enough to ping a hammy, but there you go. Interesting times. But alas, the suspension to both Sicily, Laird, and the injury to Hodor is made all the harder by the fact we will be struggling for cover with the buys now upon us, or it's best 18.
Yes, and the buys are, of course, going to be a major talking point in this episode, with round 12 presenting as the first buy for the season. So we'll do a quick refresher for everyone, just so you know who has the buys, which will impact us most, and, you know, a little bit of a, just, I guess, talk about the rules. Yeah. And then likewise, when touching on specific trade-in and trade-out options, we'll make a point of reminding everyone what round they have the buy. So pay particular attention as to how an admission or addition to your side may impact your team across the buys to ensure you are well placed to have at least 18 scorers, which I think we're all going to struggle to do this week.
I think I was facing, I think 16 or 17. Now I'm probably down to about 15 after Laird got suspended.
I reckon we had best of 10, please.
Oh, hopefully, like just change the rules for this week off the back of the idiocy of the MRO and AFL. They can GGF and GTFO, just to continue the acronyms. And we have some, of course, DPP additions to announce. Well, just one of note, really, with a couple of big names missing out, boy, a B's proverbial. But of course, if you're not following us on socials where we post the latest news, post-match SuperCoach scores, and the odd meme or two, you can do so via Twitter, which is at SuperCoach_Edge. You can find myself at DamoJ88. You can find Liam at LiamEvans_95. Facebook, search SuperCoach Edge. Insta, TikTok, all those other platforms that are just cropping up from here on out. Just search SuperCoach Edge and you'll most likely find us there. But Liam, let's jump straight into it by kicking things off with our usual recap in the good, the bad, and the ugly.
For those new to our show, in the good, the bad, and the ugly, we roll through some of the more notable and the more forgettable performances across the round. We touch on how our own teams performed and look at our head-to-head rivalry as we wrestle for ultimate supremacy across the season.
Yeah, so let's kick it off with a good. Yes. And it was, of course, James Sicily. And Sicily was operating, I think, just at a higher frequency than others against the Saints. And he took intercept marks left, right, and center for a score of 172 that featured 16 marks in total and 43 disposals. Oh, and did I mention he had 90% disposal efficiency? That's crazy. I mean, Warple struggles for half of that disposal efficiency with half the amount of disposals. Just incredible.
Looked like a man on fire. Was great to see, especially when he's in your SuperCoach team with the VC on. On to the bad. Let's bring the mood down. Jack Sinclair and Will Ashcroft. Sinclair was a victim of a role variation here once again, with 61% CBAs limiting his ability to rack up bulk points in his traditional position of halfback, scoring just 71. And Ashcroft struggled away from the gap, but once again, scoring just 52. Still in an incredible 60% of teams so far. So sorry, it's so fair to say he hurt a fair chunk of the competition. Including myself, absolutely. Both of those guys.
Yeah, one of those guys. And one of those guys for you was an inclusion as well. And I do apologize for recommending him. It wasn't a high recommendation, but I did say
I
that
just have
he
to-
was going to be a keeper.
I just have to remember I can't bring in any any primos because they're going to score like shit the first week.
I keep forgetting that you're mentioning that, and I'm going to make note of that right now because whoever you bring in this week, I'm going to avoid them.
Yeah, please
I
do.
might have to trade them out, really. If I had trades, I probably would. But let's move on to the ugly. And of course, it is Rory Atkins. And many were quick to declare it the year of the rat, with Atkins averaging 80 across his first 4 games, only to deliver a 28 on the weekend. And what's worse is he was subbed out of the game with a full bill of health, which could spell danger for his job security for those owners who are hoping he'd provide adequate cover across the bye period. So a definite watch this space come Thursday when teams are announced.
Maybe Constable will be back.
Oh, well, he ended up having the 30.
He went nuts in the
disposals or something. It might be more than that, actually.
VFL. Was it the VFL? Yeah.
It might, hopefully, I mean,
please.
It was funny as well because I saw on Twitter.
Please.
Please. please do it for us. But I saw on Twitter there was a bit of, not an argument, but like there was conflicting reports. Someone, I think it was through the Footy Live app, they'd listed Constable as having 27 disposals. And then through the AFL's traditional match center, they ended up having Constable with a 34 disposals or 37, whatever it was. And I was like, is someone that's working like for the AFL through like the match center, do they own him in SuperCoach and they just kind of pump up his points? Just be like, hey, Stewie Jew, look how well he went. Bring him into the team for all of us struggling across the buys.
Get him in.
We can only dream. But dreams were had on the weekend, Liam.
They were.
And for myself, they were realised in some extent, I think. I bounced back after my first slide in ranking all season last week with a nice rise up the ranks, courtesy of a score of 2,420 to sit in a virtually identical spot to 2 weeks ago, rising 811 spots to now sit ranked 1,713th overall. I must say, with the rookie carnage last week, I was facing multiple donuts, if I wasn't already now, heading into the buys. So sadly, had to do a 180 on the initial plan that I had to keep Clary. I had to bid him farewell. But you'll see, actually, if you look back at last week's Team Talk mini episode, I had a bit of a touching ode or farewell to the pink sweaty pig. So feel free to go and check that out, or check out our most recent YouTube short that we've put up if you're into crying and whatnot, because brace yourself, it's an emotional one. It was a touching tribute that I had for Clary, and just memories of him trotting around on field, getting his hair brushed. Classic. Even having little bubbles on his head. Check it out. You'll see what I mean. Anyway, I ended up bringing in Merritt and then used some of the funds to upgrade Day to the Sicilian. Even better was locking in, like yourself, Liam, the VC score of 172. It was so juicy. So good. My strategy for targeting both players was due largely to their favorable matchups with the Saints, first and foremost. For the Sicilian, giving up bulk points to opposition defenders, and likewise Merritt's average against the struggling Eagles. And I knew both were bound to go up in price, considering they had scored quite well in recent weeks, making it hard to bring them in across later weeks, across the buys or even post buys. So getting them in now means I get them at a discount. And off the back of that, I must say I'm still hopeful to bring in and be reunited with the pink sweaty pig after the buys. And we'll have more than enough in the bank to do so, thankfully, courtesy of some careful cash cowing and planning. But it probably comes down to more than anything, we don't have trades left. So that's going to be interesting. But I think I'm going to have to just hold the door when it comes to the amount of donuts I'm going to be fielding over the next few weeks. But c'est la vie. As always, though, from a more comprehensive look into my team as it stands, along with the strategies and trades I'm looking at for next week and beyond, and how I'm planning from week to week across these bye weeks, feel free to check out Damo's Team Talk mini episodes, which can only be found exclusively on our YouTube page as an exclusive bit of content. Now, Liam, what about yourself? How did you go?
Yeah, not quite as well. 2,310. So not bad, just not as well as you did. Which did see me drop down slightly in the rankings to down 267 spots to 7,432. Still not bad. I'm pretty happy with how that is, considering where I started the season. Now, I took a slight tumble this round, but only a small one, and it came off the back of some poor scores from Sinclair, Sheasel, Steele, Ashcroft, and Samson Ryan. Oh, and that injury to, as you said, Sean Darcy, just pulling the hamstring.
I must admit that was quite funny because I saw the vision and there wasn't an actual incident of it, but I had to rewind and I saw him in the background behind play, and he was just casually just walking pace. I think that's his running pace, but he was just rubbing the back of his hammy. I'm like, what have you done? Like, have you got up a bit of a gallop and you just ping, just a couple more than a couple of steps at a time, and you bang, done.
Bang. Yeah. It was interesting watching him up alongside Gorn and Grundy though, just in the ruck, like him standing next to them and just being like, this is two very different types of ruckman here. Anyway,
a picture of fitness.
Yeah. So in terms of trades, I had some absolute rookie carnage on the weekend. Rory and Simpson were dropped. Chincotta, he's been missing for a few weeks. Had Chesser, he was dropped as well. So I ended up needing to make some trades this round to avoid some donuts. So I did go the same thing as you did. I traded Oliver. And I kind of went the devil's advocate route that I discussed last week. So I've traded him out to Sinclair. So I got 195K in the bank. With the likes of Ashcroft and Samson Ryan and Weddle and I don't know, all those guys. So I can get him back in with that cash that I've banked there. Brian Sinclair and Wardlaw I traded from Simpson. So yeah, week early on Wardlaw or the Warlord. And as is the trend, Sinclair stunk it up with a score of just 72 the week I brought him in. And now looking into the weeks ahead, I have Darcy's hamstring to deal with. I have Sicily and Laird suspended. So I am hoping that Chincotta, Chesser, Constable, and Drury all get a call up to help me field a full team. And you know what? Horse, just bring Matty Roberts back in. I don't care.
On one leg, hopping around. Imagine that. Just a tap out. They get the tap out from McAndrew down to him, and he's hopping on one leg, and you can't tackle him because
it's more likely to hit his head.
Exactly right. Because it's like that old joke. What's the name of a woman with one leg? Eileen,
Are you asking me? Okay. Classic gags. So I'm hoping they'll come back in. I'm probably going to eat a donut this week though. So I might choose to hold some trades rather than trade myself out of trouble. Don't you just love the buys?
They are an incredible, beautiful thing. Actually,
of course.
They're the furthest from the truth.
I love it. Sicily and Laird the first week of buys. And normally I'd be like, oh yeah, they've got a suspension. It's okay. It's during the best 18. But
no, now it's beyond that.
Yeah. Bloody hell. Come on.
It is beyond that. I don't even know. Like, if anyone is able to field, I think well done to you if you're able to field a best 18 team this week. But if you're able to field a best 19 or 20, because as we always say, like it's better to have more than 18 because, the shitter scores drop off and you're only, given the best 18 scores. But in this case, it's going to be slim pickings across the board. So I think in that case, people shouldn't be too worried because I think everyone's going to be in the same or very, very similar boat where, if you're struggling for a 16, 17, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe 18, maybe a top 16 is a new top 18. Yeah. Orange is a new black. All that sort of stuff.
Well, I just had a count. I've got 15 players, assuming that...
Oh, Lord.
Before trades, assuming that Chincotta and Chesser and Drury don't play. So if they play, I've got 18 without any trade. So please, I'm putting my call out.
I've got 14.
Oh, rough.
But that's not counting. Actually, no, I'll have 15. Sorry, because I'll likely be trading Ryan. Maybe a 16 if I trade Simpson. I think I've miscounted there. Oh no, I think I counted Chincotta. Oh God. Oh, who knows? I might have.
He's got to come back in. He's got to come
Yeah.
back in.
Sure.
Anyway, let's jump into the head-to-head.
Yep.
Something a bit more happy for you, Damon.
Yes. It's slightly, but it's not pepping my spirits. So I ended up bouncing back and extended my lead out after you nearly overcame the entire margin in 1 week last week, with the deficit now sitting at 340 after being at 230 last week. So I gave you a bit of a sniff, and you're likely to just overcome that again next week. When I have a
on the
team
bye.
of one.
I don't think it's happening during the buys.
This is the chance, I reckon. I'm absolutely cooked. I'm just whatever. It is. I love how we're using this episode to go and talk through the buys with people. And like, don't worry, we'll help you navigate through the buys. And I've just already like thrown in the towel.
I think it's just purely due to the fact that everything that could go wrong right now is going wrong.
Yeah. It is true. Yeah. It's just frustrating, but we'll help you. We'll help you nonetheless.
Yeah, we will.
I'm 9 wins, you're 2 wins. And the differential now is 340.
Yeah. Coming for it. But as we spoke of at the top of the show, buys are now upon us. And as we are fresh, as are some fresh DPP changes. Oh, tasty. So let's unpack it all with our new segment featured across the next month of buy rounds called
Bye bye baby, don't make me cry, baby,
A bit of Bay City Rollers there.
Oh,
Classic.
love it.
So for SuperCoaches new and old, it's a good time to have a bit of a refresher as to what the coming month of buy rounds mean. And I know some may have their head in the sand, or you just given up off the back of these suspensions and whatnot, like myself, but they are simply unavoidable, unfortunately. Good news, however, is the first two are supposedly easier to navigate. See, I wrote some of these notes down prior to these suspensions, as you can tell.
You can really tell.
It's flipped on its head, so maybe you can blame me for jinxing it. But yeah, compared to the rounds 14 and 15, going into the buy period, it was looking like those last 2 buys are the worst. Now it's looking like the entire buy period, the buy month, is just bad in itself. So,
it's okay. We got round 13, or whichever one is the good one, with only goals from Geelong.
Until every other player gets suspended that aren't Gold Coast and Geelong players. Every tackle is a suspendable offence. Oh, God. Yeah. So suspensions, injuries, and omissions always throw a curveball in, which they have done this week, unfortunately. But before we delve into that, we can keep hiding under our desks for a little bit longer, because first we have some new DPPs to announce.
Yes. So let's kick off by tearing off the Band-Aid, as it were, by announcing that the top prospects in Walsh and Gawn both fell short of the 35% threshold. Walsh's time in the forward line dropped to 32.9% after spending more time in the middle, ruling himself out. And I want Voss sacked for that specifically.
I want him sacked for multiple things, but
I don't
I'll
care.
take that.
I don't even care about that. I just want him sacked for playing Walsh in the middle and stuffing him up.
That's part of the shit game plan. That's part of the shit game plan.
Play him in the forward line? Is that the issue?
That's the issue.
I don't care.
And he amended that. That was the one thing that I thought was actually pretty good, but he's not going to keep his job after that. And he's done us over.
Yeah, he's done us over. And you know what? Who else has done us over? Simon Goodwin.
Oh,
Gawn fell absolute. Look, maybe this was a miscalculation on his part. Maybe it's actually Gawn's fault. Maybe Gawn demanded an extra CBA because Gawn fell agonizingly short by just 0.1%. Yes, his time in the forward line was 34.9%. Literally one centre bounce starting forward would have pushed him over. And you know what? I don't even know who to blame for that one.
It's pushed us all over the edge. That's what it's done.
That's it.
It's just
getting flatter and flatter this episode.
Oh, as flat as the shit cutter's hat. Just honestly. But I'm like hearing about like the smallest of margins. I'm having serious flashbacks hearing that he's fallen short by that small decimal point, because it reminds me of a team that I support that ended up coughing up a lead against Collingwood and fell short of finals by 0.4%.
Yeah, it's rough.
I feel like that meme, everything reminds me of her, and it has like has photos of like things representing breasts and other body parts. But this is literally, this just reminds me of the Heartbreak Club that I support. It's just disappointing, gaslighting me at every season. How dare they? But
How dare
anyway, the new DPP list is that lackluster. It's only really worth mentioning one name, and that's Jack McRae, who gained forward mid DPP eligibility with 38% of time spent forward. But hold the applause, as McRae is only punching out a 109.6. Sounds good, but it's actually his lowest average since 2017. So he isn't as impressive an option as he would have been in recent years. And part of that reason is to do with this new DPP, with less CBAs resulting in lower scoring potential across the board.
Yes, and despite the lackluster average, though, it does place him in the top 4 scoring forwards, and he comes in at a discount of 60K on his starting price. However, the fact he has the troublesome round 15 bye doesn't do him any favors, especially for me.
Yep. Well, I'll ask you, Liam, first up.
Oof.
Would you consider bringing him in? Doesn't have to be at the moment, but like, even if he's like your last upgrade option,
Yeah.
would you bring him? Actually, sorry, I'll rephrase that. Because he's 60K cheaper than what his starting price is, and I think his break even's not too bad. Would you consider bringing him in now? Or would you prefer to wait and maybe sacrifice a bit of, coin in this case? He went up 24.4K in the weekend.
Yeah, break even 41.
So would you bite the bullet and bring him now, first and foremost? Or would you wait to see how he fares when Treloar comes back in? Because there's been a little bit of a spike with his scoring without Treloar.
Yeah.
Or third, would you just not consider him at all?
What was one again? No. No. All right. So I think that's your point regarding Treloar is a good one. Treloar, I think, is potentially due back this week. I would want to see him playing with Treloar because there's been a bit of a, mix in his scoring when Treloar's played. Obviously, the last 2 games, he really hasn't played much in the middle, from what I've understood. Definitely on the weekend, played less CBAs than normal. And still managed a score of 145. I think, though, the majority of his scores this season have been 100 plus. His floor is 81. Oh, and I'm talking myself into him now. Yes, I would consider him, but not yet. I don't think with the round 15 bye, I'd be concerned by that. I'd almost want to pay a little bit extra for him. I'd almost be okay with paying extra for him.
Yeah.
Just purely because, I have to look at my personal buy structure. And maybe I just say stuff it, I don't care. But I think I'd probably look elsewhere.
Yeah, I'm very similar, I think, as well. Like, he's not hitting, like, the scores that he's hitting.
Take out the last 2 weeks of 145s. That's bumping up his average quite a lot.
Yeah. If you look at here, the breakdown of his scores, he's had one score of 131 and, taking away those 145s. His other high score was 114, and then he's at a 112, 103, 106, 85, 81, 88, 96. So it's been a bit of a mixed bag. And like McRae of recent years, he's been able to punch out the consistent high scores of 120 plus, almost like what Bond's doing at the moment, really. But just looking at his CBAs as well, I know like the CBAs only tell part of the tale, and it's probably more favorable with Treloar not being there because there's more points to go around. But from rounds 2 to round 8, he was averaging around about roughly, I reckon, about 50% CBAs, maybe a little bit less, which is kind of deceiving, I think, because, he still scored the 100, 112. He hasn't had the ceiling scores that he's had in previous years. So I'm not convinced that he's worthy of being a top 6 forward, especially when again, it comes down to how many players and what type of players you got down or up in your forward line. I've got Dunks, Taranto, Rosie, Cogs, Sheasel, and I've got Goulden, who I will switch back into the forward line. I've got him currently in the midfield. But those guys, to me, present as the best 6 forwards. Sheasel, you could probably argue he's probably the weaker. You'd say he is the weakest of the lot. But I'd prefer to just stick with Sheasel, save a trade. And
that's it. Saving the trade. Sorry.
That's it virtually. Like, it's how much is it at this time of the year? I think it's just how much is the trade worth, and will McRae, like, how many points will McRae outscore Sheasel by from here on out? I don't know if it would be much.
Yeah. Yeah. And then equally, I know he's obviously quite expensive right now. Zach Butters, 652. His break even right now is 81. So you expect him to keep going up. but I mean, he's got more volatility in his scoring with the lower scores, 67 and 79, which are both lower than McRae's lowest scores. But they came back in round 2 and 3. Other than that, he's gone 89, 94, 96, 101, 104, 125, 139, 146, and 184. If Zach Butters gets, back to 600K at the same time as McRae kind of does, I think, there might be more upside there. I'm just anticipating that Zach Butters is overpriced, basically 652K.
Oh, yeah.
Way overpriced. So I wouldn't be bringing him in. I'm not saying that
mammoth game,
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I expect he'd drop back to probably 600K, and probably about the same price as Jack McRae.
Yep, that's a fair point.
Time.
Yeah, it's always
I think
hard.
the upside is better on a Butters.
Absolutely.
Than there is on McRae.
Yeah, it's always hard to, and that's a good point as well. Like trying to project forward, look at other guys who present as better options, and see like all it takes. And we'll get into it shortly as well, but like just highlighting Tim English, for example, like he was at 680K at one stage at the height, and now he's only about 10, 15, 20K above his starting price. So off the back of 2 games in the 80s and 90s. So it does show that the higher price point, you can fall dramatically off the back of 1 poor game or 2 poor games, especially. So that's a very good point you make there about Butters. And yeah, if we hold out, it's bound to happen. You'll have an off game, and that's that, and we'll be able to pounce later in the season. But in short, McRae for me is a no. For you, Liam?
It's a maybe. I don't dislike it. It's just his buy stuffs him up. Like I don't think you can get him in with his buy currently. If you want the full list, of DPP changes, you can head to the Herald Sun SuperCoach website or access it through the code website. But time now though to discuss the buys. Yes.
Yes, indeed it is. This is the first of 4 buy rounds. And as we mentioned, this first week is a little more favorable to us, but again, not so much off the back of these suspensions. But there is only 4 teams missing. So that's kind of the context is why we think this is an easier week compared to other weeks where it's 6, I think 6, 12, 4. Yeah, that's right. Because then it's Geelong and Gold Coast who have it next week. So that's the best week of the lot. But this week, the teams that have the bye are Brisbane, Freo, St Kilda, and Sydney. And of course, for those not familiar, on bye weeks, only the best scoring 18 players contribute towards your weekly score. So if you have 19, 20, or a full complement of 22, which is virtually impossible, but it means that only your best 18 scores count. So those shitter scores end up dropping off. And obviously the best ones count. And for each of the 4 weeks, we get access to the use of an extra trade. So 3 in total, but note that they aren't additional trades and will be deducted from our total amount remaining, much like the boost trades. And I guess a bit of a segue, because if you have any boosts left, congratulations to you, but it means you actually get to use 4 in 1 week if you choose to do so.
Yeah, so now let's have a quick look at some of the most owned players missing this round across the bye teams. This is for mid prices and keepers. From the Lions, we've got Dunkley, Ashcroft, Neale. From Freo, we've got Brayshaw, Lukey Ryan, and Sarong. And from St Kilda, we have Romo, Sinclair, and the Man of Steel. And from Sydney, it is Mills, who, he's already out anyway. Yeah. Lloyd, the Seagull, and Chad Warner. What about Goulden?
Hey?
Is Goulden?
Oh, yeah, Goulden. Yeah, Goulden.
Come on. Can't miss my boy.
I may have overlooked him there.
It's my boy.
I may have overlooked him. I know, he's your boy. And the fact that I think he's like the most owned as well out of all those. Oh, that's a classic.
Let's have a look.
That's a classic stitch up. He's at 52% of teams.
He is the most owned.
What a stitch up for you. Your boy overlooked.
Where's Mills? Mills is, I don't know where you got this. Mills is 1.6% owned.
I went into players and then I ranked it by teams, and I obviously didn't do the percentage of teams picked. I just actually, no, I did. That's strange. I don't know.
Yeah, Mills is 1.6. Weird.
Strange.
Anyway, my boy Errol is number 1 there.
Yep.
Anyway, something to keep in mind when trading in players over these weeks. These exact players will be having those exact players that you trade in will be having a bye coming up. So make sure any trade-ins don't leave you in more of a compromising position than before on a specific week, if that makes sense. So don't trade yourself into trouble, basically.
Yep.
Don't trade yourself out of trouble this week to then trade yourself into trouble in 2 weeks. That's what I'm trying to say.
Domino effect.
Yeah, exactly. Like the butterfly, the wings flick, the butterfly effect.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
the
reverberate around the
hurricane.
world.
Yeah, the hurricane that's happening in Laird getting suspended. Knowing that we have access to 3 trades or 4 if you do have those booths, if you do find you're projected to have less than 15 players available heading into a given bye week, you are at risk of not being able to field the full 18, obviously. Yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to say.
Yep. And probably as well, just to mention a small note as well, using, I say, Drury as an example, like if you're facing, a donut or 2 donuts or whatever, and you're like, oh, okay, I might trade in a rookie on a given week, just so, you get an extra few points. Like don't go trading in a rookie willy-nilly or someone cheap willy-nilly and you think, oh, yeah, okay, no worries, without any real great thought behind it. Because someone like a Drury, and that's just unfortunate, but like he's a classic example of someone that you could have brought in over the buys, and he's only contributed 30 points over 2 weeks or something, if that. So yeah, just keep your wits about you and look into it a little bit further beyond the current week. And likewise, always check how your side shapes up for buy coverage when trading out a player. So if holding a player for a given week that is projected to lose money, yet allows you to field a full 18 and not cup a donut, you'd be wise to keep them in your side for another week. So bottom line, with all trades, keep buys front of mind.
Yeah.
That's the name of the game, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I think don't be afraid to cop a donut as well. Like I think sometimes we all freak out and think, oh, 0 points, but sometimes not trading a player in, like I guess if you're missing like a rookie and they're going to score 50, think about that as 50 points across 10 rounds?
Yeah.
12 rounds. Like that's not many points per week to make up that you might get with a trade that you save and actually bring in a primo later on. So just, I think keep that in mind. You don't want to run out of trades and end up having to field donuts, for the rest of the season later on, where you're going to lose more points than during a buy round. And
I reckon a lot of people will be burning through trades.
Yep,
with that mindset, thinking, oh, I just need to cover donuts. Like think of it long game, like it's a marathon or a sprint, classic saying, but it applies here definitely because injuries will hit, omissions will hit later in the season, and if you're dwindling in trade later in the year, you've cooked yourself for the season at the expense of trying to prop yourself up for a couple of weeks or the 4 bye weeks, which just isn't worth it. It's 4 weeks compared to the remaining 9 after the buys.
And I think the buys present both opportunities. You can either fling yourself up, like really skyrocket up the rankings if you prepare well, but they can also really hurt you by later on. Even if you do skyrocket up and go really aggressive, you could hurt yourself by having no trades left and finishing the season in a worse position.
Yeah. I think like the strategy, and we've spoken about it in previous seasons as well, but I guess the main aim is like omissions aside and injuries aside, but if you are in a position where, because anyone you trade in that hasn't yet had the buy will have a buy. So you're virtually trading in someone that's going to miss a week. So using, say, next week as an example, if you wanted to target Lockie Neale, that'd be a good time to bring him in, as opposed to obviously this week he's on a bye. So if you bring him in next week, it means that you've got someone that can cover the remaining 3 weeks of the buys. So that's kind of the way to try and make a step up every single week on week. It's going to be hard, obviously, for those players that have around 15 buy. But those are sort of the players you want to try and target after round 15 coming out of that buy if you can. But it's going to be hard to do so this year, especially because we've got an extra buy week compared to previous years. So yeah, bit of extra flavor, spice added to the mix.
Yep, definitely.
Now, though, let's turn our attention to the juiciest part of our episode, as always, as we talk all things trades in The Price is Right.
Show me the money. Oh! Does that make you feel good just to say that? What you gonna do, Derek? Show me the money!
For those tuning in for the first time, The Price is Right is the segment where we discuss potential trades, trade targets from week to week, and whether a specific player, that you have should even be traded at all. So let's kick off with the first cab off the rank in going, gone, Damon. Who is it?
It is Ho-da-do or
Oh, no.
Shrek. He's priced at 567.4k. Average is a 103.5 with a break even of 179. So the big Hodo looks to have been fatigued from holding the door for so long, succumbing to a hamstring injury and being subbed out of the game against the D's. Freo have said he has a medium grade strain, which is a minimum of around about 3+ weeks at minimum. So he does look, unfortunately, to be a trade. Combined with the fact his low break even is now 179 and is projected to lose upwards of 40k, this could be one of the few opportunities to flip him to say in English for those non-owners. Has the bye week this week, so owners have the luxury of waiting a week for, say, English or a Gorn, both of which have a break even of 118, if you think they could drop further in price, which they could potentially do. Otherwise, load the cannons because they will provide a little bit of cover this week.
Yes, most certainly. And moving on to the next guy, it is Darcy Wilmot, defender midfielder, 308.5k, averaging 58.6 with a break even of 90. And he churned out a absolute putrid 29, which was his second lowest score of the season, and still went up in price to the tune of 5.7k. However, his break even has skyrocketed to a massive 90, a score he hasn't eclipsed at all this season. So all signs indicate he will be dropping in price. He has the bye though this week, so you can wait a week before punting him, but does look a good time to use him as a stepping stone to a genuine primo, particularly if you can wait until next week and flip him to a Neale or another primo who is coming off the bye, like a fake primo like Jack Sinclair.
Just let us know who you're trading. Let us know who you're trading in there. That's all you need to do.
Maybe I should tell you who I'm trading, and then no, it won't work. I should tell you I'm not trading them in, then you bring them in, and then I bring them in as well.
Yes. Interesting.
So we can have sadness together.
Sadness together. We have, because you've been bringing in players that I have in my team already. That's working. Don't worry, it's working. Moving on to Samson Ryan, who is a ruck forward, priced at 344.5k, averaging a 63 with a break even of 101, and does have the round 15 bye. And we spoke of Nank's return having a negative impact on Ryan last week, and that continued this week with a score of just 39. And what's worse is he was subbed. And last week, his time in the ruck dropped 43% to 23.7%. And then he dropped again this week, underlying his role evaporating with Nank first choice ruck. The low score, unfortunately, means he has dropped 14.9k in price, and his break even now a sky high 101, a score he has only eclipsed once this season when rucking solo. And he is a must trade to preserve the cash generated. However, it means you won't be able to target primos, obviously from Brisbane, Freo, St Kilda, or Sydney, all of whom have their bye this week. So if you're targeting such a player from any of those teams, it might be worthwhile instead trading him down to a fellow rookie this week, like a Briggs, for example, who we'll speak about later.
Yep. And he's gone down to 7%.
Oh, 7%. That's what it was. Gee whiz.
Yep. 7%. So that
highlights that drop.
Killer. Absolute killer. Yeah, probably one to get rid of this week, unfortunately. But you may need to hold him as a player that is actually playing. Hopefully. Yep. I mean, assuming he doesn't get dropped.
Yep.
We have Sam Simpson up next.
Simpson, sir. He's one of your boobs from Sector 7G.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Mid forward eligible for the Cats, 250.6k, averaging 57.8, break even of 59, and he has the bye in round 13. He was rested, but there is no guarantee he makes it back into the Cats lineup with first choice best 22 players making their return week on week. If you're in need of some warm bodies to help give you a best 18 in the first week of the bye, he could be one to cull. I got rid of him last week because I don't know. I hate Chris Scott, basically.
Yeah. Don't trust him. Don't trust him at all.
Rested.
Yeah, rested. He was the only guy rested. Like, yeah, sure thing. You watch him not come back this week. You watch him not come back for the rest of the year. But yeah, he was rested.
Subbed. I love it. He was subbed the week before.
Yeah.
Uninjured. And then gets rested. I don't know. Sus to me.
Very, very sus. Anything to do with that man who shall not be named.
Yeah.
He's very, very sus.
Always pulling a Swiftie.
Yeah. exactly. Not the Taylor variety.
No.
But let's move on to on the chopping block, and it is Will Ashcroft first up as a midfielder, obviously priced at 420.4k, averaging a 79.6 with a break even now of 109. And Ashcroft has struggled at times away from the Gabba, as we mentioned earlier, averaging only 62 interstate and a 100.8 at home at the Gabba. And
That's
this
huge.
game at the Adelaide Oval on the weekend was no exception, scoring just 52. Has the bye this week, of course, but then heads to the MCG to face the Hawks. So you'd say that all signs and all data is pointing to him having another down game. Whilst his break-even is high, if he can score an 83, he will drop approximately 13.9k. But the week after, his break-even will drop to a more achievable 73. Regardless, though, he looks to have peaked in price and won't make much more cash with a deviation in his scoring that he's had to date. Nonetheless, like all of those with the round 12 buy, if you can afford to wait and then upgrade into a fellow round 12 buy Premier next week, such as Neale or Brayshaw that I spoke of, that'll guarantee you a player who will be available across the remainder of the buys.
Yes, very good. And looking at his run home in terms of the Gabba, he doesn't play his next game. The Gabba, it's at the MCG, then plays at the Gabba, then Marvel, then the Gabba, MCG, Gabba. So yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag.
That's going to stuff up his 3-round scoring.
Yeah,
rotation, isn't it?
exactly. So
Average.
that's going to hurt him. Especially this week, having played 2 weeks away, essentially. So yeah, get rid of him if you can. I think he's peaked in price. Now let's move on to the get them ins, and this is much more fun to talk about. So first up, my boy Zachy Merritt, mid eligible for another, like the 3rd week in a row. 596.5k, averaging 110.3 with a break even of 72. He has the round 14 bye. And he didn't quite hit the heights we were hoping, scoring a 110 against the Eagles without a tag in sight. However, it did reveal in a post-match interview he was working through a corky he copped from Nank the week prior against the Tigers. Fucking Nank. That now makes his 162 against them even more impressive, because apparently it happened at the start of the game as well. They said like 30 seconds in.
Insane.
So yeah, massive. Pleasingly, he did have the second most CPAs with 73%. So the role is back, helped with Parrish, Shill, and Setters all being out. Has the dreaded round 14 bye, though. Not quite the worst one, though. So ideally, one we recommend you try and hold out to grab following his bye in round 15. But he faces North this week, who he has scored 117, 114, and 140 in his last 3. Bloody hell. Come on, Supercoach gods. Who give out the 5th most points to mids as well. And then he faces Carlton. Only get if it doesn't disrupt your buy coverage in round 14, though. So yeah, be careful with that with Zachy Merritt.
Yep, definite option, and glad that I have him in my team now. I don't have to worry about him going bananas and missing out on a score just because he's very, very piggish. He's got a bit of the pig mentality about him, which I like. We all like.
Except he can hit the target.
Yeah. Did you say wish he'd hit a target?
I said except he can hit a target.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's
compared to Clary. Come on, Clary can't kick. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, he can throw the ball as well when he's at ground level. He loves that. He's a classic. Well, you've got to give him cut him some slack. He hasn't got any bloody, opposable thumbs or anything. He's just got trotters.
Should imagine handball in a handball.
But he hasn't got the
harder to throw.
Yeah. But he hasn't got the full range of motion with like a trotter, like the length of a trotter compared to like a human arm.
Yeah,
like he hasn't got
I'll give you that. But surely that makes it harder to throw.
If just like 2 trotters at the one time
would be harder to throw.
2 trotters as opposed to like trying to get your trotter.
Yeah,
I can't believe we're talking about it. What have we descended into already? We're not even bloody halfway through the show. Anyway, let's move on before we derail things more. We'll pick that up after the show, actually, that debate. But moving on to Sam Doherty, he's priced at 557.6k, averaging a 101 with a break even of 62, has the round 15 bye, and has extended his epic run of form since returning from injury with 106, 111, 94, 135, and 124 on the weekend. So I've just got the picture of Clary on all fours with his literally with trotters for arms. As legs, sorry. But ownership went up in the decimals from last week, rising from 6.1% to 6.6% of teams. So he's very much still a pod. His average is in the 100s for the first time since round 1 and still 46K cheaper than his starting price. However, he has the dreaded round 15 buy. So again, I wouldn't consider him if he, of course, disrupts your round 15 buy setup.
Yep, another one. Probably harder because I reckon the round 15 buy is the worst one.
Yep.
So definitely be wanting to hold off there. On to the next guy, Tim English. Ruck eligible, 592.1K, averaging 122.9 with a break even of 118, and he has the round 15 buy as well. Now, he presents as huge value at present, highlighted by the fact he's the highest scoring ruckman by a margin of 137 points, yet is priced below Marshall, Goldstein, and Witts, 20.8K less than Marshall being the most expensive. Absolute insanity. His price has dipped courtesy of scores of 90 and 88 in 2 of his past 5 games, which have brought down his average over the past 5 game span, despite the other scores being, sorry, this is just insane, 124, 118, and 105. I can't believe this, and 105. Incredible to think he was top priced at 683.8K only 6 weeks ago, and now is only 11K above his starting price. And he has a 122.9 average. It's just nuts. It's just nuts. Sorry. Could yet drop even more over the next week or two if he fails to reach exactly more. He could be back below his starting price.
Jesus. If
he fails to reach his break even, but is an easy switch from the injured Darcy to him with just 24.7K. What an absolute bargain.
Isn't it funny as well? Like, absolute bargain. Like, he is a gift. But isn't it funny, those sliding doors moments, because a lot of people traded that man Darcy to Tim English after the first week of price changes thereabouts, because English obviously went bananas. His first few scores were 134, 139, 139, 145. And in that time, English went up 66K. And Darcy, I think, went down 30K or something like that. But yeah, now we can, we're virtually all in the same spot and we have to pay 24.7K. So you'd probably say, I guess there's more points with English anyway, if you've gone for him across the journey compared to Darcy. But interesting. We've all ended up in the same spot. That's swings and roundabouts of SuperCoach, isn't it? But moving on to Jordan Ridley, he's priced at 428.7K, averaging an 88.2 with a break even of -5, and he does have the round 14 buy. And the question is Ridley, the Ridley we know and love, back after his concussion? Since his return from injury, he has gone 122 and 130 and looks to be back to his intercepting best. With Laverde and Zerk Thatcher taking the best 2 forwards, Ridley is given the opportunity to intercept and take part in the switch, giving him bulk points. There is a risk, however, as the Dons' last 2 opponents don't have particularly big forward lines, so the scores could be inflated. And I think both of those teams bleed a little bit of points to defenders as well. But it would end up being a big pod for those who opt to bring him in with an ownership of just 4%. And I started him. You start him, Liam?
No, I didn't, but I traded him in.
You bought him in.
I traded him in when Stewart went down.
Ah, yes.
And again, he went shit the first week I got him. And then just kept going shit, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. It's nothing to do with you.
I would consider bringing him back, in full honesty.
He's a good price, isn't he?
It's a good price.
Yeah.
Is a good price. It's just a bit weird. I don't know why he's like, I can't remember when Laverty went down with injury. No, that was against Collingwood. So it's not like he was going great, and then Laverty went down with injury, and then his scoring declined. So yeah, it's a bit weird. I'm not sure. To look into it a little bit more, but I think you could potentially, I know his break even's a -5, so he's going to go up in price, but you could potentially wait another week and just see how he goes. But again, it's against North. So not a particularly strong defense forward line, I would say.
Yeah.
That's going to make, cause him any issues. And then Carlton, which is probably the biggest challenge in the sense of just sort of matching up tall players.
Yeah, Mackay and
and then potentially, I don't know if Silvani comes back or if DeConning rests forward.
Yeah.
Probably need to.
Yeah. I mean, given the what's 2 games out of how many that, like, this could be, as we say, it's probably more. It could be due to the favorable matchups that he's had, but for me, I think it's a small, like, always go by the sample size comparison, and it's like 2 games compared to the previous 8 that he played, where he was averaging an 87. Not going to
The role's different.
Port Adelaide, but the role I guess is different. Yeah.
The only other thing that I will raise, and I don't know why I think this, but Kelly's been out of the side, and Kelly has seemed to impact Ridley quite a lot in terms of scoring when he's been in the side. So I do caution that Kelly's been out with concussion for the last 2 weeks, that Ridley's been back. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there's no return date for him yet, unfortunately. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But yeah, I'd probably be cautioning going for Ridley just yet. Let's jump onto the bubble, the rookies. First up. Sorry?
Don't burst the bubble. You're going to jump
burst
on
it. I'm going to jump on it. No. I'm going to jump in the bubble. It's going to make me float up.
Don't worry. Every other player will be in a bubble soon enough because of the head high tackles.
Yeah, we're just going to play in like those Zorb things.
Zorb balls.
Anyway, Kieran Briggs, ruck eligible, 254.4k, averaging 105.5 with a break even of -64. And he has looked the absolute goods after replacing Matt Flynn 2 weeks ago, scoring 109 and 102. Does come in at a higher price point, similar to that many paid for Humphrey B. Bear. And even, I mean, Ratkins wasn't quite 250, but still high.
Yeah, he was up there.
In round 11. And with such a low break even and a huge price rise on the horizon, it makes sense that he'll be high on the wish list of many coaches and potentially even myself. Perfect timing as well, heading into the buys where warm bodies are desperately needed. And particularly for those owners of Sean Hodor Darcy, who injured his hammy and are in need of some cover. Likewise, a great downgrade option for some cash for owners of Samson Ryan. Projected to make a quick 100 to 150k over the coming bye week, so should be given strong consideration if you can afford the trade.
Yeah, I'm a big fan, and the reason I say don't bring him in, it's I'm speaking to you alone, Liam, not to the.
He's not a primo. No, it's as long as he's not a primo, it's okay. It's just my primos for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah,
we are referring, of course, to the curse that you have on players.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's all right then. You can bring him in.
My rookies seem to be okay. It's just the rookies / mid prices are okay. It's the primos. I just need a team. It's the universe telling me I just need a team of mid prices.
Maybe for next year. Maybe give that a go. Spare us all. Otherwise, I was going to say, can you just like sacrifice like a first price rise? Not go for him this week, so we jump on, and then you can get him the week after.
Yeah, if you can transfer some cash, that would be nice.
yeah, exactly. But no, he does look very, very juicy.
Yeah.
I think Bryce Mitchell, the resident data guru that we all love on Twitter, he said if he averages against 90, he's going to go up about 150k or thereabouts over the next month. So juicy. Yeah, which is obviously doable. He's averaging 105 at the moment, so
could potentially hold him. If he keeps averaging 105, you could just keep him for the rest of the season.
He could be like the this year's Prusy, GC Prusy.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So interesting tactic to see those people that have Darcy as to whether or not they replace him outright with, say, like an English, or if they trade him down to a Briggs. You can even just like bring in, which is what I'm considering, is trading Ryan down to Briggs and switching Madden to the forward line, holding Darcy for the time being until, say, English drops in price, and then bring in English next week. But it means obviously play one less player this week. So yeah, it's probably bring in English. But if it wasn't the buys, I would be looking to do that. But interesting tactics around this bloke. But let's move on to the next guy, and it is George Wardlaw, or the Warlord, as we call him. Midfielder, he's priced at 193.8k. He's averaging a 64, and he's got a break-even of -16. He does have the round 15 bye. Looked impressive with his 85 in his first game, of course, playing primarily as a midfielder with stints up forward as well, but spent more time forward in his second outing to only score a 43. The big appeal with the Warlord is he has elite job security and will play out the rest of the season provided he stays fit. The one thing with him as well is his time on ground was quite limited and was managed in game by the looks of it. And I assume it's due to the fact that obviously it's his second game overall, but he did have that limited preseason as well. Came into the season with an injury niggle. So it's a matter as to when sort of he breaks out of that and regains, full fitness before he's given ample game time. He only played 66% game time on the weekend, which was the lowest, excluding the subbed in and out players. So
Okay.
I think aside from that though, like as I said, he comes with huge raps. But at the higher price point now, do you get him in? I don't know.
I've already got him, so it's not a question you can ask me.
Oh, okay.
I went early on him just because I felt like he had better job security than Eddie Ford.
Yep.
But Eddie Ford has done himself no harm. But we'll touch on him in a second. I don't mind him. I think he's got that sort of job security, and he'll have scoring potential, I think, as the season goes on. I think you'll see a little bit of volatility with his scoring. I don't think you'll see just straight 80s every week in, week out, but I think he'll be similar to an Ashcroft, where he might pump out a big score here and there.
The one thing that I was surprised with was he only laid the one tackle compared to, was it last week, the 9 or whatever it was? That was pretty crazy, averaging a 6 in the VFL. So that's probably the one part of his stat line that was doesn't look to be it looks to be an outlier from his normal game. So if we're expecting, he's not going to have 9 tackles every single week, but
no, but
if you can average what he was in the
5
VFL, 5 or 6, like it, as we know, with like a Jack Steele and McRae and whatnot, at least it gives you a bit of a solid floor. So hopefully if he's given that more time in the midfield, that it will help him out there.
Yep. Now moving on to the next guy, his teammate in Eddie Ford, forward eligible, 123.9k, averaging 92.5 with a break even of minus 114. So things would have to go really bad for him not to reach that.
How many frees against would that be?
All of them. He scored an impressive 102 and then an 83 in his first 2 games, playing a high half forward role, pushing up across the wing. Historically, though, he hasn't been best 22, having played just 2 and 4 games in his first 2 seasons. So there is some doubt, small one, over his job security. But I think looking at how he's been performing and as promising as he is, could not only be a decent cash cow, but could provide some important cover across the buys. I will be getting him in this week. I just don't think you can go past that. Minus 114. Get him in.
Yeah, you can't pass up that sort of cash generation. It's going to be quick generation as well. If you can maintain, obviously his current average, but going by SuperCoach Plus, if he scores a 54 on the weekend, he's going to go up 75.8k in 1 week. And then again, if he scores a 54 the week after against the Giants, you'll go up 34.3k. So there's already 100k.
Yeah, wow.
110k actually.
So decent. That's what you want.
Yeah, very decent. Quick cash. Even if he doesn't maintain his spot, just the pure fact that he's going to give you that much cash to really help as well with upgrades across the buy is going to be very, very crucial. We would mention Lachlan McAndrew here, but of course, because he has played the 2 games, he is in the bubble, but he does have the round 12 bye. So we'll delve into him in a little bit more detail when he comes out of the bye next week. But yeah, there's a little bit of suspect with his job security. Hard to read into. Didn't perform the best on the weekend. So I wouldn't be trading him in early at all. Other rookies on the horizon, though, we have Josh Fahey. Or Josh Fay, I don't even know how you pronounce his name. I assume it's Fay because Fahey would be utterly ridiculous. He's a midfield defender, priced at 123.9k. And speaking of funny pronunciations, we've got surely this guy's name, this guy's nickname has to be Sauce. You know why? And we're talking about the Irishman for the Cats who made his debut on the weekend. Surname Mullen. First name. How would you pronounce that? Of course, it's an Irish name, so it could be how it's spelled.
It could be anything.
Yeah. It could be Graham for all we know.
Yeah, Oisin.
Oisin. Oisin sauce. Oisin sauce. Surely his nickname has to be Sauce.
Do we know what it actually? Do we actually know what is it? Oisin? Like, is that how you pronounce it?
No, it's not. I think it's like Oilen or something. Or Owen, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I didn't say.
They were talking about it on SEN, and it's gone in one ear and out the next because I was just thinking of Oisin sauce, and I couldn't think of anything else. Love a bit of hoisin sauce.
102.4k he is as the defender.
Hopefully he can keep his spot because
big raps on him. Big raps on him.
On the radio today, they were comparing him. They were saying in Gaelic football terms, he's like the equivalent of a Dusty Martin.
Yeah, they said, and I heard he was like a Nick Dacos as well.
Yeah, and he's turned his back on like obviously his local game there to forge a bit of a path in AFL. From what I saw, he actually looked pretty good. Good speed. And there was a bit of play. He kicked it behind, almost kicked a goal. And he did the classic Irish thing with like, in Gaelic football where they kick the ball up off the ground and kick it back to them. You would have seen with Conor McKenna over the years, obviously. But like did that, scooped it up and like kicked it around the body. And I was like, shit, this guy's first game. I don't know how many footies he's kicked in his time, but geez, he's got a bit of natural nous about him.
Yeah, love it. Love it. And also, we're going to have some potentially more rookies, some bottom price rookies with the mid-season draft on Wednesday. I don't know what day it is today.
It's the day
Tomorrow,
of hell off the back of Laird being suspended. But yes, it's a very good point as well because it's a great time for new rookies to come on board, as we've seen in recent times. Massimo, D'Ambrosio, and the like, Menzies, all those guys. So,
Love it.
So, Liam, let's move on to the next segment.
Yeah, what do you have to say for yourself, Damon?
Toot, toot. I'm the captain now. Toot, toot.
Oh, that was better. I like that.
Look at me. I'm the captain now.
I rate that.
Yeah, you're right. That's it. Because I know last week you criticized or critiqued me because one was toot, toot, like really upbeat. Really like welcoming, like play school style. And the next minute I'm the captain now. Like I was like holding a knife to someone.
Yeah, you can't do that.
But I'm a pirate. I've got to.
No, but you can't. If you're going to go like that, like, come on.
Yeah.
That's a happy boat.
No, that's because people see me coming from a distance and they're like, they hear the toot, toot. Oh, he's a welcoming pirate. He's fine. He's all good.
Welcoming pirate.
Then when I jump on board, that's when I get my captain's hat on and I'm like, I'm the captain now. And they're like, oh my God, he's fooled us completely. So that's kind of where that comes from.
All right.
So he fooled you?
Yeah. I'm really fooled.
Anyway.
I'm the captain now. We chat about the VC and C options that you've got for the upcoming round of SuperCoach. As always, we've scrounged through the data and found the best options for you to consider. Let's kick off with some vice captaincy options on Friday night.
Yeah.
At the G.
I'm excited for this one. A personal investment, got skin in the game, as they say in our theme song from The Killers. But I'm not wearing any skin, as it turns out, because I've got no skin in the game. I just am resigned to another big loss. I mean, off the back of all these injuries. Carlton, pull up your socks.
Nah, come on, back against the wall. You could win this.
Clean sweep. Get rid of anyone. Get the broomstick out. But anyway, it is Melbourne v Carlton Friday at 7:50 p.m. at the G, and we have the track. Christian Petrarca first up has an average of 107.25 in his last 4 games against the Baggers with scores of 99, 101, 126, and 103. But comes into this game with 4 of his last 5 games at 122 plus. So in some decent form, you must say.
Moving on to the other side of the field, your side of the field, Damon. Sammy Walsh. He has an average of 89.75 in his last 4 games against the Ds. Scores of 73, 111, 89, and 86. But, and there's a big but here, the Ds have been giving away some very big scores to opposition mids, and I'm going to run through some of them. 127 to Brayshaw on the weekend, 184 to Butters, 140 to Rosie, and 123 to Horn Francis the week before. 117 to Jai Newcomb, 189 to Noah Anderson, 144 to Timmy Taranto, 134 to Zachary Merritt, and 139 to Timmy Kelly. So there is, I mean, and if I don't know, I haven't heard anything more on Cripps, so I don't know if he's playing or not. But if Cripps doesn't play, Sammy Walsh could have the keys to the midfield.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly right. Keys to the city.
Mm. Just
I'm
creeping
keen.
there.
I am keen.
Gonna
Keen as a
gonna
bean.
gonna VC him.
Off the back of that, I just might. That's a great
Mm.
stat. I actually didn't even look that far into it. I just thought Sammy Walsh, maybe you could put the VC on him. He is Carlton. Everyone else can just go and get stuffed. So yeah, I like that. Good stat. Good bit of detective work there from you, Liam.
Gotta go back and look into history.
I like that.
Not even history, just recent weeks.
Yeah, recent weeks. Yeah, it's very good. Very good correlation. Well, it worked out for Sicily, as we know. So
Yep.
got to grab those little exploitations when you can. But let's move on to the next game, and it is Port Adelaide up against the Hawks on Saturday at 1:45 p.m. at Adelaide Oval. And we have Connor Rosie, who has an average of 62.66 in his last 3 games against the Hawks, with scores of 48, 74, and 66, but comes into this game with a 3-round average of 118.7. So veering towards the captaincy territory there. So a bit of a lock-in VC captaincy score. So yeah, an option.
Yep. Nice little option there. Moving on to Zachy Butters, his teammate, has an average of a 92.66 in his 3 games against the Hawks, with scores of 136, 88, and 54. But he comes into this game with a 3-round average of 142.3, and 3 of his last 4 games have had 125 plus scores.
Oh my God. Butter would not melt in his mouth. My Lord, he's good. Moving on to the next game, it is West Coast up against the Pies on Saturday at 4:35 p.m. at Optus Stadium. And we have just one man to speak of, and that man is no doubt to be expected. Nicky Dacos, and he's played West Coast just once for a score of 125, so not a bad score first up. And he played through the middle on the weekend, actually, against the Roos, scoring a 124. And his CBAs, I think McRae came out and said that he's trying to give him more opportunity in the midfield as the season goes on.
Yeah.
Or words to that effect. But in terms of CBAs, he actually had 43%, which was his 3rd highest for the season. Round 7, round 8, he had 63 and 47. Every other game he's had just like fleeting moments in the midfield. So yeah, it's I guess he's starting to perform to how he was at, I guess, junior level, where he's killing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like it. Not a bad option.
Yep, don't mind it. And I mean, we're going to call these captaincy options just because they're the later games. But realistically, in a buy round, you pretty much VC anyone because it's
cool.
With all those players that aren't playing. Anyway, Western Bulldogs up against Geelong Saturday at 7:25 p.m. at Marvel Stadium. Got Tommy Stewart. He has an average of 112.5 in his last 4 against the Doggies, with scores of 112, 120, 104, and 114. And we discounted the 39 score and the concussion game he had in round 12 in 2022. But the Dogs do give away the 2nd least points to defenders, so it could be one to avoid.
Yep. No, exactly right. Bit of a mixed bag there. Don't know how he's going to go. If only it was at GMHBA, that would give us a little bit of comfort. But moving on to the Bont, Marcus Bontempelli has an average of 118 in his last 4 games against the Cats, with scores of 109, 98, 143, and 122. But the Cats come in with a very depleted midfield, basically missing all of their first choice mids. So could be a game where the Dogs mids dine out, and especially the like of Zibont, who are just sheer quality.
Yep. And over to his teammate, Jack McRae, has an average of 102.5 in his last 4 against the Cats, with scores of 107, 82, 97, and 124. But even with his reduced CBAs and mid-time on the weekend, he's scoring big, with consecutive 145s in his last 2 matches. So could be in for a big one, another big one.
As we said, going back to that little debate that we had, a little discussion point about McRae. Do you bring him in this week?
That Trelaw could be back, so could be the other way.
What's it going to be? Well, moving on to, we'll find out. Gold Coast v Adelaide on Saturday at 7:30 p.m. at TIO Stadium. And we were going to say Rory Laird here, but Michael Christian, that's for you, mate, because he's given him the 1 week. I like it.
I had a tier.
Yeah, you had a tier. Sorry, for those people tuning in to the podcast, the audio podcast, you would not hear that. This is part of the reason why you've got to get around us on the vodcast.
No, don't even tell them. Make them
just check it out. Check it out. Go and you'll see. But I was pretty outright in what I just flipped to the screen, and you were quite.
I was the opposite. I was
Yeah.
more, I don't know. I was more emotional, I want to say.
Yes, emotional. Oh, I'm emotional too. I got two in my eyes. Oh, there you go. Oh, sorry, it's double tears. Sorry, Michael
Oh.
Christian. You just make me so emotional when I think about you and the AFL. But
Mm.
yeah, Rory Laird, we're gonna have to shelve you, mate. Not shelve you in that sense, but we're gonna have to, because yeah, you're a blockhead. But we're gonna have to put you on the shelf on ice. Yes. Let's just move on to Jordan Dawson. Averages 116.25 in his last 4 games against the Suns with scores of 140, 74, 158, and a 93. So finally, I must say, as an owner, he finally hit a decent score.
Mm.
Finally, I actually had the same sort of, I guess, curse that you were having, and I thought, geez, it's going to continue with Dawson, because he started pretty shit on the weekend. Previous 2 games that I've had him 89 and 92, and I'm like, what is this? And he's dropped 50K. So yeah, funny game, SuperCoach. But he came all right. So yeah, anyway, he's got a bit of a mixed bag there against the Crows, but against the Crows, against the Coasters. So
yeah,
the Gold Coasters. Anyone calls them the Gold Coasters?
I don't think anyone does. But anyway,
I did.
Moving on to GWS up against Richmond on Sunday at 1:10 at Giants Stadium. We have Timmy Taranto, and it is the first time he faces his old side. So we have no averages to go off. But he could be in for a big one, and he could even be a sneaky option, considering he did score that 147 against the Power on the weekend. So we know he has a ceiling.
Absolutely. Hitting his straps very, very nicely.
Yes.
Hope it continues. Rounding us out, it is your mob in Zidons up against North Melbourne on Sunday at 4:40 p.m. at Marvel. And one man to mention, and it is Zachary Merritt, who averages a 109.75 in his last 4 games against the Roos with scores of 140, 117, 114, and 68. So a definite option there to consider.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Let's jump into the captaincy head-to-head, Damon. And just rounding out last week, it was a close one, very close one. You had Rory Laird, who scored 115. I had Zachary Merritt, who scored 110. So just the 5-point difference, but you've evened the ledger, it. 5 wins, 5 losses, and you have, I think, 15 points up. So 1049 to you and 1034 to me. So 15-point difference. So very, very close.
Well, Liam, you've got the first pick this week.
Oh, I don't even know who I'm going to pick. I'm going to do it. You know what? I'm going to take your boy, Sammy Walsh.
Okay.
I'm going to steal him from you.
Okay, thanks for that. thanks a lot for that. Well, you know what? Just to add a bit of spice to this week, I'm going to go for the opposing primo in that game. Without Clary,
I love it. Yes.
I'm going to go Track.
Yes, I
reckon he's going to tear us up. If we don't have Cripps, we've lost Hewitt, who's out concussed. We've got a slow Matt Kennedy. Paddy Dow may finally make his way into our team. So maybe Track doesn't go well, but no, I reckon he will. I reckon he's going to have an absolute rip snorter of a game.
I was going to say, wouldn't you love Setters now? But he's also out injured, so it wouldn't help you.
Yeah, I would. Otherwise, I'd probably prefer David Teague at this point as well. But that's by the by.
Bloody hell. Now, David, what's up next?
But Michael Christian's
I got to know.
Hey, I got to know.
Yes, good old I got to know. And Lord. We're descending into chaos here. But probably should mention first off, because he's probably listening at the moment, Liam.
I hope so.
But Matty Gooch, I love that name, Gooch. That's the space between your balls and your anus. That's actually named as your Gooch. He probably gets it all the time. Apologies, Matty. But I'm not having a go at your name, but it's just Gooch. You've reached out to us on Facebook through Messenger, and you must have your profile set to like private or something, because tried to search your name, can't find you, tried to search you as a follower of our group on Facebook, and you're not coming up. So either you're a spy, like a 007, or you're probably more realistically like a cop or a teacher or something, which is fine. But we can't reach out to you in turn because you've asked a few questions of us, and we're not being assholes, and we're not being assholes, Gooch? We're not being assholes and not responding to you. We actually want to
No.
respond. So if there's a way you can drop us like your email or your Instagram, or just take yourself off private.
Yeah, if we got Twitter. Yeah.
No, Twitter. Twitter's probably the easiest way. Yeah.
We've reached out to Facebook to see whether there's just a glitch or
glitch
something as well.
in the Matrix.
But we wanted to make sure that you knew we weren't just ignoring you.
Yeah, we weren't being.
I think we
complete freaks.
reacted. I do think we reacted to one of his things, so he knows that we've seen it. We just can't. We just can't respond.
That's even worse because it's like yeah, cool story, mate. Cool story. Like we're not going to respond.
That is a good point. It's probably not any better, but
Yeah,
we
So I
have
patted
seen
you.
it. We
Apologies,
promise.
Matty. Yeah.
We promise.
Anyway, let's move on to a few questions here that we'll answer relatively quickly now because I think the episode's gone a little bit overs in terms
Yes.
of just delving into buys and DPPs and everything. But first up, we have from DSE at DSE_DSE_DSE. Is Wardlaw a must-have? I'm down to 14 trades by bringing in Ford this week. Liam, what are your thoughts?
Well, I've already got him, so he's a must-have for me. Yeah, I don't think he's a must-have. Ford's more of a must-have just because he's going to have quick cash gen. But looking at the rookies on the horizon, Wardlaw's got good job security and probably good scoring potential. McAndrew, I'd all but count out, really.
Yep.
Probably need to see more from Faye and Mullen as well before I could talk to them.
Yeah.
So I don't mind bringing him in, but I don't think he's a must-have.
Yep. No, I think look at the strength of your other rookies across the park.
Yeah.
I'm kind of at the stage now where I'm thinking about, and especially bringing in Briggs is going to allow me to hopefully keep someone like a Seamus Mitchell for season long, because you almost need someone that is first and foremost a DPP player as well, just to provide that bit of flexibility. But like you at least need one strong rookie that's going to play week in, week out to provide cover, especially at the back end of the season when you're running out of trades or you've run out of trades completely. So I think Wardlaw does fit the bill of that type of player. He's not obviously DPP, but just to help you out in that area of the field, we've got the most players and there's more chance of players missing in the midfield, obviously being 8 players compared to the 6 in the forward and defense. So I think it's a good option to bring in just to shore up your strength of rookies on the bench. But yeah, as you say, Ford is a must-have just purely in a cash cow sense.
Yep. Let's move on to the next question, and he is from Sue Ridgepipe at Bishop's Balls. Sorry.
Who's Bishop? They're big or they just lengthy or?
Anyway, let's move on. My trades are JVR to Ford at the minute, but can't get Jinby up to Stewart, 14k short. That is the worst. Is going Seamus to Mullen early this week for my third trade an okay move if it gets me to Stewart and saves me trading Ashcroft. I really want to hold Ashcroft as my M8 until I trade him after his West Coast Eagles game. I'm going to throw that to you, Damon.
No. Don't do that, Sue. I mean, yes, there's a question about Seamus's fitness after the weekend. Apparently, he spent a little bit of time in the closing minutes of the game on the bench getting his knee checked out, I think it was. Don't know anything about that that's been reported as such yet, but probably a good sign because, it's nothing read into it. But I think, as I said, Seamus for me is someone that is looking to be one of the more consistent scoring rookies. So I would keep him as long as possible. And I think he's playing the round 15 bye as well, Seamus Mitchell, which will help us out.
Yep. Across the other buys.
Yeah, he's got the round 14 bye, obviously playing this week as well if he gets up fitness wise. But I would, to your other point as well, trade Ashcroft now. If anything, as we said, like we ran through his, I guess the variance in his game when he's playing away from the Gabba, there's a little bit of a trend there, which we can read a little bit into. And chances are it could continue. And beside the point, I think Ashcroft isn't going to make much more money. So from a cash cow perspective, he served his purpose. But from a scoring perspective as well, there's that variance in scoring. Sure, his good games, his high games are quite good, but his low games are quite shit. So there's no real middle ground there you can really lean back on. And I'd much prefer to lean back on someone like a Seamus Mitchell if you're fielding him, who's going to deliver you about 60 to 70 points week in, week out. So I'd much prefer that, especially when you're going for head-to-head league matchups. And yeah, I mean, the amount of money that you'll get from trading in Ashcroft, you're going to have to do that eventually anyway. So why not do it now on his bye week? Cash him in. It'll allow you to go Jimby straight up to Stewart. And obviously you'll bring in a nice little cash cow there in Ford off the back of JVR. Liam, any other thoughts?
No, nothing to add to that, to be honest. I think you've nailed it.
Next question we have from Jackie Jones at Jack John 074445227, a resident bot that we always love. So thanks for tuning in. And hopefully your AI is learning at a rapid rate. And I think it is, because this question, it's interesting. He says, McRae or Stewart, if you could go only one this week? And that's normally a question that Chat GPT could potentially answer.
Yeah.
So can we help him out?
It's much of a muchness, really. I think it depends on so many questions, actually. Stewart coming up against the Dogs, who don't really score, don't really give many points away to backmen. His break even's 109, so he's probably going to go down in price slightly. He's projected for a 93, will go down by 7K. McRae's break even is in the 40s off memory. So much more likely to go up. Was it in the 40s? I think it was.
Yeah, it was 40 off.
41, projected score of 109 is meant to go up 30K, so he's going to be, over 600K next round if he can manage that. But then Trelaws might come back this week. It's much of a muchness. I think it really probably comes down to what area of the ground what rookies you're getting off your field is probably where I would look to it. The only benefit I would say of Stewart is that he is going to have the bye. He'll cover the rest of the buys except for next week, which is an easy one to cover. Sorry, the week after. Whereas McRae has that round 15 buy, which is a tough buy to cover. So I'm probably leaning just slightly towards Stewart. But there could be argument that you get McRae in now and then get Stewart in after his buy, if you can do that.
Yeah, potentially, yeah. Yep, that's a good way of looking at it. I think comparing the pair with these two guys, I think Stewart is entrenched in the top 6 defenders. So for me, he's in more of a keeper territory compared to McRae, who could be potentially a top 6 forward, which at the moment I think he is. He's the 4th highest scoring.
4th, yeah, I think so, yeah.
But who knows, that could potentially dip if his average starts dipping as well. But I see him scoring around about the maybe F6, F7, maybe F8 in terms of his score towards or come the end of the season, ranking wise. So I think I see Stewart as more of an important player, and I think the heights that he hits are heights that McRae can no longer hit in the current role that he's got in the Dogs team. So that's kind of me separating the two.
That's fair. All right, last question. Steve at Stephen C24. He asks, Andrew Brayshaw or Lachie Neale next week off their bye. Now, Damon, I've got some stats for you, so I'm going to just run through them for you. All right.
Good.
Lachie Neale, average score of 110.2. Andy Brayshaw, average score of 103.3. They're both priced. So Brayshaw is a bit more expensive, 581. Neale is 577, so much of a muchness, really. Neale's in 25% of teams. Brayshaw's in 14% of teams. What else? Their high score for Neale is 176. High score for Brayshaw is 149. Low score for Neale is 63. Low score for Brayshaw is 70.
Are they the same player?
Yeah, it's so similar, except for it's only their average that's the difference. It's 100 versus 103. So just, I guess, for context, Neale has scored above 100 in all but 3 games, and one of those games was a 95. The other 2 were 76 and 63. Whereas conversely, Brayshaw has gone 100, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times.
Yep.
He's gone 98 in one of them, and then 89, 88, 84, 77, and 70
Ooh, okay.
So, I mean, it's hard in terms of 3-round averages as well, just to kind of get a sense of it's basically the same as well. 119.7, 116.3, 5-round 109.2 versus 119.2 for Brayshaw. So very, very close.
I would separate the two based upon, like, when you're reading through Brayshaw's scores there, gave me flashbacks to when I had him last year.
Yeah.
And
That's probably the only thing.
That big variation in his scoring. So he's dipped below 100. What's that? 6 times?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times.
7 times compared to Neale's
6
times.
Yeah, you're at 6. So
6 compared to Neale's 3 times, and one of which was a 95. Yeah. So
95.
I'd much prefer to go for Neale because he's got that higher floor compared to Brayshaw, which was so frustrating last year. So it's a good question, Steve, because I'm very much in the same conundrum at the moment. I'm considering either of these guys heading into next week. But yeah, I think for me personally, I would be going for Lachie Neale. As frustrating as he can be because he's not hitting the heights again compared to his previous seasons. But he's still having a high enough floor. It's just the ceiling games that have been lacking, but his past 2 games have been quite good.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? He's really hasn't hit that ceiling, but he's had a much better floor. Whereas, like, I mean, he has had a ceiling because he scored 176, but I guess the other scores are 128, 124, not massive. Compared to Brayshaw, who's had more, like his top 3 scores are all above 127, and it's 114, 106 for his next, above 100. So yeah, I agree. I think I'd go Neale.
Yep. Very nice. Well, this is the last question. It's definitely the last one, and it's Jack Jones again. He's had a double dip. He asks, Ruckline is currently Darcy, Romo, and Rat/Madden, obviously DPP.
Galia.
Yes.
Yeah, boy.
Is it worth bringing in both Witts and Briggs? If just one, which one is better?
No, just bring in one.
Yeah. Oh, well, no, he's got Darcy. Radaglia is injured. He did a hammy on the weekend.
Yeah, but surely, okay. How much is Radaglia? This is how much I don't know about Radaglia.
It's funny that I know more about him. I think I just don't rate him. He's 352.
So Radaglia is 352.
I don't mind it actually because you could literally trade out Rat to Briggs and
bank about 100k. Yeah,
bank about 100k, and then you could trade Darcy to Witts. Again, Witts probably isn't my choice, but he's got Romo. Yeah, I'd prefer English over Witts personally, especially at that price point, bargain wise. Yep. But it's up to you, personal preference. So I don't mind it. And again, it probably comes down to how many trades you got left as well, and how it works in with your buy structure, because we don't know about that. So, but I think, yeah, conceivably, Briggs is obviously going to help you out this week, and Witts likewise. Witts playing the round 13 or having the round 13 bye means he's going to help you out across those last 2 bye weeks, round 14 and 15, which are the worst of the lot. So,
yep, like it a lot. Yep. I don't have anything to add to that. If you were only going to bring in one, I would probably lean towards Briggs and then get Rat to put Madden into your your R3, and then bring in, a forward or the like for Radaglia and just make bulk cash. Swing Rat into your forward line.
No, Rat, because if he's trading out Rat to Briggs, because Briggs is only a
Darcy. I meant you trade Darcy to
gotcha.
Briggs.
Yep.
Just make absolute bulk cash.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually really good. Because then, you can just sit on that, and I mean, it's the bye week, so best 18, away you go. Both of those, and you could potentially wait to see who's better out of English and Witts. You can wait.
Yeah, potentially. That's just another option.
Yep, not like it. Anyway, let's move on, because before we wrap up this mammoth episode, we need to, of course, run through our SuperCoach Edge results across the board. And first up, we have the SuperCoach Edge Cup group results after round 11. And our SuperCoach Edge Cup public group leader is a carryover leader yet again. No surprises here with Rehab with his team, Colin Good, topping the lot, round score 2,396 with a total score of 25,495 and an overall rank of 38th overall. So well done there, Rehab.
Yes, and the top scorer for the round in that group was Josh with his team, Kiwis Rule. Round score 2005. It must be, do you reckon he's a big fan of kiwi fruit?
Oh, absolutely. Or just like
Or
the
just the
animal, the
birds.
kiwi, just the bird, the kiwis. They look pretty cute.
Sorry, round
That's what it
score of 2,534
100%.
with a round rank of 200. 210. Wow, I just forgot how maths works there. For our Patreon exclusive group, the leader is T Prostitutes, Jonas Goat again.
Oh, Jonas Goat.
Yet again,
Lived up to his name.
2,373 was his round score. He has a total score of 25,216 and an overall rank of 338. And Damon, you did it. You took out the top score yet again. 2 for 20.
Wow. I don't know if
Making
that's a
your way
good
up.
thing. I don't know if that's a
Making
good
your
thing
way
for
up.
me or if that's a poor reflection on the people in our group.
Oh no,
But
24-20 is not a bad score.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I'll take it. Take it to the bank, withdraw, and then I'll be running away to the Bahamas. But in terms of our Patreon exclusive SuperCoach Edge Cash League, the results looked like this. And it was Popperball FC defeated by Ton 618.
Oh,
And it was 2,249 up against 2,325. Myself, DJ Traderlot, defeated the Sharpshooters. The first place
Absolute
getter was
classic.
close. Absolutely. It was one for the ages, wasn't it? It was
one
that
for
you-
the ages. I have to admit, I was watching that one actually.
It was one that you definitely go and well, if they still did it, but like you'd get it on Name a Game on DVD
Oh yeah,
for
definitely.
those.
I
Classic.
don't tell my kids about this game. They'll be like, I was there that round.
It'll be passed down through the generations. Have you heard about the classic game, infamous game, DJ Trodelot versus the Sharpshooters? So I ended up doing him by 4 points, 2,420.
It looked like I thought you were going to actually draw. I thought there was a
Yeah,
draw
it looked like
coming
that at
up.
one stage.
Yeah.
It was a blockhead that helped me out though. Rory squared. Came
Yeah.
through with the absolute goods. Then we had black on white, 2,331, defeated Carps Crushers, 2,208. And then yourself, Liam. Jeez. I called it many weeks ago when you were still propping up the ladder. You were so humble, so noble of you. But I knew you were going to come back at some stage, and you have, because again, another win on the board. But it wasn't just a win. This was on another level because it was against our father-in-law, who has had the wood over you.
He
in
has. I
every
think he beat me
encounter.
like 4 times in a row.
And you were so worried at one stage, weren't you? With like, it was
I
come
was
down
like,
to Ashcroft and 150 lead to Dawson, I think it was. Is
yeah,
that
I
right?
was like, oh yeah, it was Dawson, yeah. And you were like, no, you'll be fine. Ashcroft was just doing absolutely nothing.
He just went bloody kicked up his feet and he's like, check this out, Liam. There's a lot of fire in here. So he ended up
Oh.
defeating Tankers 2,310 to 2,263.
Just every time we play, something happens.
Yeah.
It's like just something out of the box happens, and it's always just never good for me.
You're like, something's going to happen. Something's going to trip up.
Yeah, like when Darcy went down, I was like, that's it. That's it.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
what's
done.
happened.
Done for. Maybe we should blame Pete. He's the reason. Blame him
Jinxing the team.
for Sicily.
Just he's a
cursing everyone.
sniper in the ground shooting at
That's on the grassy knoll.
yeah.
JFK.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Taking
Yep.
out Shrek's hamstring just with a little ping.
Yeah, little pink with a little BB gun.
yeah.
Actually, that little BB gun. It's kind of like Shrek up against
Caleb Daniel.
Daniel. Yeah, it was like that David versus Goliath battle of like the small man up against the giant, like this little BB gun.
Yeah, like the Simpsons episode where it's like Nelson and Bart and he like uses the slingshot. It's like just into his knee and he just like dies.
Yeah, it's like Troy. Achilles heel. Classic.
Anyway, let's have a look at the ladder. Damon, you are in second.
Yay!
But
I'm back.
equal first with the Sharpshooters, just based off points, and it's pretty close. It's just
108
under 100,
points.
just over 100 points. Yeah, you're both sitting there on 32 points apiece, 8 wins, 2 losses. You, Damon, are 5 in a row, 5-0 in the last
Ooh,
5.
I'm
Sharpshooters having the only loss to you in his last 5, so going 4-1. Matthew Ton 618 sits in third place on 20 points. Based off his points scored. So he is just, he's 140 points up. He sits with 5 wins, 5 losses, gone 2-3 in his last 5. And he has made his way up 1 spot on the ladder. Carps crushes Wade. He sits on 20 points as well, so equal third, but in fourth spot on points. He has 5 wins, 5 losses, and 2 wins in the last 5. I have made my way up to fifth spot. I'm coming for the top 4. I have 16 points, 22. I'm in fifth of points, 4 wins, 6 losses, 4-1 in my last 5, and I've gone up 1 spot. Scott Arthur with black on white sits in 6th spot, 16 points, 22, 4, 5, 7, 4 wins, 6 losses, and 1 of his last 5. Peter with his team Tankers sits in 16th, 22, 3, 5, 5, 4 wins, 6 losses. He's won 2 of his last 5. And Dylan with Papa Ball FC is in last spot with 8 points, 2 wins, 8 losses, and has lost his last 5, unfortunately.
Well, there we go. That's how things stand heading into the bye round. So best of luck for everyone there. And that does, of course, bring us to the end of the show. But before we go, Liam, where can our listeners find us across our socials?
Yes, on YouTube, search SuperCoach Edge, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and to get all the visual gags that we have, like Damon wearing his hat again. Twitter on @SuperCoach_Edge, Damon at DamonJ88, myself at Liam Evans _95, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of those. Search SuperCoach Edge. You'll find us there. I couldn't think of any others that, exist.
Yeah, that happened to me.
Be Real.
Well.
Yeah, we're on Be Real.
I still don't understand what that is. I feel like an old man.
It feels like the complete opposite of the name as well, that it's not at all being real.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, as always, I must admit as well that we had a new subscriber, and it was someone that was a regular listener of ours that didn't actually know, and I have no idea how they didn't realize, because we mention it all the time, that we have a YouTube channel and we exist in video form, vodcast form, and they jumped across and gave us a sub. So the more, the merrier, I guess. So for those of you who haven't yet subscribed to our channel on YouTube and you listen to our content regularly through Spotify, Apple iTunes, all that sort of stuff, we say, do it. Do it. Just do it. And so you'll have no idea what the reference is there, and unless you go across to YouTube. So make sure you do that. Give us a sub, give us a like, and we'll repay you with some more gags like this, for example, for Michael Christian. Just so itchy nose, all that sort of stuff. What was yours? Oh, the tier.
I literally just did a normal tier.
Oh, you had a normal tier. Just genuine?
Just for Laird.
Oh, okay, just for Laird. Oh, okay.
I was being nice.
The tape. I'll have to rewind the tape and zoom that in, actually, find out.
See how hard my head hit the ground?
Oh, classic. I'll get Michael Christian on the phone. Thanks as always for tuning in. All the best for the round ahead. Of course, it is the bye week, the first bye week. Don't worry if you're copying zeros left, right, and center. We all are. We're all in this together. So let's embrace. Yes. Let's hug. Let's sit down by the fire. Strum our guitar. Sing Kumbaya. And
say lovey.
Say lovey. Yeah.
Que sera?
Yeah. Que sera. Free Laird. All that sort of stuff. And we'll catch you, of course. Same time, same place. We'll see you then.
See you guys.